This is Patrick from WSOU 89.5 FM, the loudest rock, and I am here with the one and only Dave Mustaine again. How you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing great. So I'm excited to pick up where we left off. So last we spoke, your most recent album, The Sick, the Dying, and the Dead, was unreleased, and it came out September 2nd. How does it feel for the album to finally be out in the hands of your fans?
I think it's terrific. It's a long time coming, and I'm grateful to our fans who have been so patient and understanding. You know, it's not every day that bands' careers interrupted by a pandemic. So that's something I think we all understood, that life as we know it has changed forever, and the economy, all of the bottlenecking of shipping really hurt the record because you couldn't get any parts for a lot of the stuff that you needed. Circuit boards were something that, I'm sure how hard it was to get circuitry done. So, and then of course there's that little elephant in the front room that I got cancer. And, those things, excluding the cancer, were all stuff that I could control. The cancer was out of my control, but I just kept thinking of you guys and how much we rely on each other to do this Megadeth music thing, and it's so much more than just songs from a band. It's a way of life, and it was painful to wait that long. I got to tell you, once it finally came out, I was thrilled, and to see we finally got our number ones and so many of them, it's remarkable.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, the pandemic happened that hindered pretty much the whole music industry. Do you think any of the stress and kind of anger during that time came out in the music?
Oh, I was tough before that.
So you've released 3 videos for the 3 singles from this album, and it all follows a 3-part story. Tell us a little bit about the story in these music videos.
Sure. Well, Patrick, the reason we even did this was we wanted to get a real clear explanation for our new fans what the Megadeth story was about, and to put some of our just things that we like, movies that we've watched and stuff, to make a video that we want. Because I don't know how you feel, brother, but it bugs me when bands put out lyric videos. They're cheap. The record label is being cheap. And it really, really, I think, shows little respect for the band and even more disdain for their fans. Because when the stuff that goes on that keeps records from getting recorded and keeps them getting out to you, there's so much stuff. And when all this went wrong, the pandemic and the economy and with the cancer and everything, there was a million reasons to give up, but it just made us, like you say, what did it make me angry? I think it kind of made me a little more determined. I'm kind of like that lion that was in a circle of hyenas, and I was not giving up my kill.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, like you said, music videos are definitely do the songs more justice. I think an industry term that I didn't know until I started working here was when they put out a video that's not necessarily a lyric video, it's just kind of a moving picture. They call it a visualizer.
Yeah,
like a band released a visualizer for a song, but I think these videos definitely do the 3 singles justice. And it also tells the story of Vic Rattlehead, which is Megadeth's mascot, which I always thought was the coolest thing. Like Vic Rattlehead and Eddie from Iron Maiden, I always thought it was the coolest thing that bands had a mascot. And what made you want to incorporate the character into the music videos? Is it because he appeared on all your albums? Did you want to kind of give a little more depth to it for new fans?
Yeah, well, this is our last record for Universal, and then my contract is up. Whether I stay there or not remains to be seen. I'm not unhappy with them. I am very happy with just about everything that we've shared and done and been through my years over at Universal. So you know what? I'm not sure that. Can you tell me the question one more time? I just want to make sure that I'm answering this right.
Yeah, the question was, what made you want to incorporate Vic Rattlehead, your mascot, into these
Yeah,
music videos and give him a story?
right. To incorporate him into there. I don't know that I was trying to incorporate him into the videos because in my little uneducated mind, I think that sounds kind of like I was trying to sneak something over on somebody, and using a mascot in a video to maybe trick people, like Camel cigarettes used Camel Joe, and people thought that that was about trying to trick kids into smoking. I
Yeah,
tried Camels, and man, if you're a little kid and you can smoke those, more power to you. You know what I mean? Oh, excuse my language. I forgot we're on the air. I thought maybe you could beep that out for me. Some little potty mouth from old Uncle Dave here.
yeah, it's fine. So another cool thing that I thought was cool on the album, cool thing I thought was cool was on Night Stalkers that featured Ice-T, who has collaborated with Motorhead and Slayer a couple times. He's obviously got Body Count. Now he has collaborated with Megadeth. How did this collaboration come about?
Well, we were friends. We've been friends for a while. He was managed by the same company that we were managed by in Los Angeles. It was called Lippman and Kahane, and they had the same. See who they had. They had George Michael. They had Nena Cherry, who Nena was a really influential black artist, and Ice, of course, and they had a bunch of other people, but a lot of them were people in their catalog that were artists who no longer recorded or toured. But he was there, and we were in their office waiting for them. And I was telling him this story. I had heard one of the artists that they managed had a chick singer, and she went in there. I think she was from the Pixies or something. I don't know if no, I'm just guessing, but it was somebody that had a female singer, and she was upset. I think her name was Gwen or Gretchen or something. And she went and stood on his desk and relieved herself on his desk. And I said, I should probably sitting in it right now. He's like, get the, whatever. And we just stayed friends ever since that, because, we started our relationship off, with a good laugh. And it wasn't like, him trying to get all bowed up or me trying to get all, bravado and who's badder. Because, clearly Ice has been through a lot of stuff that I've never been through.
Yeah, that was definitely my favorite part of the album. And a little bit more about the lyrics. We talked about this last time. Over the years, a lot of Megadeth's lyrics are about war, holy wars, peace sells. And this album is no different. We talked a little bit about your lyrical inspiration. I know you said you read a lot for lyrical inspiration. Where else might it come from?
Well, I guess just kind of keeping your eyes and your ears open. You're going to see a lot of stuff that is hidden in plain sight. There is so much beauty in the world for us to behold, but there's bad people here, and I'm not one of those guys that thinks the world's a bad place with a bunch of weak good people that are moaning about surviving. I think that tough people, people that get up in the morning and they get through it. They do what they need to do to make it. Those are the winners, and no matter what they do, whatever their profession is, and God, to get inspired to play music, to be in my position right now, it's not hard. I'm one of the luckiest guys in the world right now. Patrick, I have been waiting for this for a long time and working really hard, and I've had a lot of adversity, some by myself, some by other people. But it just kind of seems like the last several years, everything slowly but surely kind of started falling into place, and we found our way again. We're playing heavy stuff. I feel great about my playing right now, and I feel like I could go on with Megadeth for another 10 years easy.
Yeah, definitely. And you just mentioned your playing. I noticed how there's a wide variety in the guitar work, the guitar riffs on this album. You've got songs like the title track, Mission to Mars, that have a lot of melodic guitar work, but there's also Night Stalkers, We'll Be Back, that are very heavy, riff-driven, more old school Megadeth stuff. Was this intentional to have a variety of riffs, or is that just how it turned out?
I think kind of yes. I wanted to make a record that satisfied me, and we had, like I've said so many times, and admittedly so, that in 1992 when Nirvana and Def Leppard and Pearl Jam and Soundgarden all happened to radio in America. Radio in America changed. It changed, and you either had to be an alternative band, or you needed to be like a glam kind of a band. Remember Warrant, Poison, Def Leppard, all these bands. God, there's millions of them. Faster Pussycat, blah, 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 all these glam bands. And then you think about all the alternative bands. Well, what happened to the metal bands that were on the radio at the time? Well, they kind of got swept off into the dark, and only the strong survived. And, for us, we went through a period where, like I said, admittedly so, we were trying to do what we were told, and it backfired. I mean, why do you pay a manager to manage you if you're not going to listen to them, right? And so there were several situations where that happened, where we would make decisions, and they were presented to us in a way kind of like, you got to do this, or that's just how it is. I can't tell you how much we laugh about the bands that we were forced to take out on tour with us, especially during the true metal or new metal period that we went through several years ago. All these bands that wouldn't play solos and stuff. And yeah, so I'm sure you've had your share of music that you have to listen to that you don't really care about.
Yeah, for sure. And we were talking about the riffs a little bit. What does the songwriting process for a typical Megadeth song look like now that you're not trying to conform to rock radio? You know who you are, you're Megadeth. What does a songwriting process look for you now?
It's kind of the same, except, I think that the process in the past, a lot of the difference in the songs came down to the tempos of the songs. And a lot of those songs, if they were played faster, would seem a lot heavier, or in some circumstances, if they were played a little bit slower, they would have been better. We went through a period when that happened with us slowing down all of our tempos, when Max Norman and Dan Huff were producing us, two guys. Max did great, coming in and doing Countdown to Extinction after mixing Rest in Peace. But I mean, Rest in Peace was pretty much done, and Max is a great engineer and producer, but really, how hard was it to mix that thing? That was a masterpiece, and the record before that was absolutely difficult. It was one of the hardest records that I've ever mixed, because we didn't have automation back then. So picking the riffs, I think this record has a lot of riffs that are based on fast picking and pedaling. A lot of stuff before with the other albums would be like a couple pedals and then a chord, stuff like that, instead of like doing this butterfly picking, what we call pedaling. Some people call butterfly picking. So I call it pedaling myself.
Yeah, I've seen it called a lot of things. I forget what people called it when Eddie Van Halen does that on Eruption, because he kind of just lets his hand shake, but a lot of techniques.
Yeah.
And you mentioned earlier how you could still go on with Megadeth for a number of years from now. And a lot of people at WSOU, myself included, when the singles were released, we were like, these are amazing. Megadeth is still going strong after all these years. What keeps you guys motivated to write and record?
I don't know. I think it's just the music has a feeling that it gives us when we play it, and seeing how the fans can get happiness out of what we're doing. That's a wonderful thing to experience, making people happy in this crazy world we're living in right now. People are so ready to go crazy. They're so fragile. They're ready to cry at the drop of a hat, quit their jobs, sue people, and what happened to? I don't understand. Just, you blink your eyes and you wake up, and it's like you're in a bad dream. Yeah. So for me, I try to always be as solid as I can with people so that, they know, well, with Dave, you don't have to really ask what he means. He'll tell you, I'm a straight shooter, and I, I've seen a lot of stuff in my life with the music industry and stuff, and it's kind of come down to this: touring is the last frontier for musicians, because you don't sell records. We did great. We were really fortunate. But what about the other bands that aren't selling records? Um, it's hard to explain. So you have to go out on the road. But what if you don't have a following like Megadeth does? And clearly, not every city is a big city for any of us, because we're playing Camden tonight, and when we played here last time, there was 15,000 people here. We're playing here under Five Finger Death Punch, and I think there was less than 5,000 tickets sold this morning. And I don't know what that means. I don't know if people are, they don't want to see four bands, or if they, don't want to see Megadeth again because they saw Megadeth a few months ago, or, in the last year or so. I just know, for me, I keep writing music because it makes me feel good. And I've always had a couple things that were on my bucket list, I guess you could say. Like, obviously the Grammy, which I got. And, Patrick, it's funny because now that I have the Grammy, it just sits on the shelf with the other awards. And it's kind of like human nature, the things that you can't have, you want the most, You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I got you.
So the awards, if they're not given by you guys, by our contemporaries, and in some cases our peers, but if it's voted on by industry people that don't know the band, like usually what happens with the Grammys, the way that they vote, these people who belong to the chapters vote. So, I mean, be honest. These guys, you're going to tell me that every year they listen to 100 Latin jazz records? Come on.
Yeah.
I was in the chapter in the Nashville Grammy chapter for, I think, 2 years, and I didn't listen to a single Latin jazz record. But the category was there for us to vote on. So you know what happens? People go like, "Oh, I recognize that name. I recognize this name. I recognize that name." And you know what? You get this really coveted award because people think it's really, really special. I like when I get the consumer's approval.
Dave, thank you so much for doing this. The Sick, the Dying, and the Dead is out now. Go listen to it. You just said like the opinions of the consumers. So go stream it, download it, get the CD, vinyl, whatever you got to do. Dave, thank you for doing this. Yeah. Old school. You don't see that much anymore.
8 tracks are coming. I'm kidding.
No, I got you.
Those sucked.
So, Dave, anything else you want to add?
No, just have a great day, Patrick, and to all your listeners at WSOU. I've been friends with the station for years and years, and watch young radio personalities such as yourself come and go on to better things. And I wish you the best with your career and whatever you choose to do. And just thanks, man. Thanks to everyone out there listening for helping make this record a success. And for people out there that haven't heard the record yet, you can check out the videos that Patrick was talking about, the ones with Vic in it, and see for yourself if it explains the story very well about how our mascot was created.
Yes, absolutely. Definitely go check out all of that. Dave, thank you. This is Patrick, WSOU 89.5.